Jordan, are we ready?
We are. We can
Great,
continue.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Good morning. This is Lynn Van Devender, and I'm the Director of Projects for the Common Pool, the consulting and design company who was responsible for the design and development of the SC2 Challenge. As you may know, this is a White House initiative that came out of the Domestic Policy Council, and it's being administered by the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Agency. There are 3 cities participating in the SC2 Challenge. They are Greensboro, North Carolina, Hartford, Connecticut, and Las Vegas, Nevada. And each of those 3 cities won a competitive bidding process in order to participate in these competitions. So for those of you who aren't yet familiar with the specifics of the competition for Hartford, we ask that you go to hartford.sc2prize.com where you can read up on the competition. And you can see that URL in the upper left-hand corner of the screen that Jordan is showing you. One of the advantages of our program design is that we've been very transparent and open and fair in terms of what's required to participate, who will be assessing the submissions, how the submissions will be assessed, and how your scores and comments will be used. All of that information is available for you, again, on the hartford.sc2prize.com. However, for today's purposes, we're going to assume that most of you are already familiarized yourself with this competition. Today's purpose is really to dig into exactly how you're going to go about acting as a judge, and all of you should be members of the evaluation panel. So before I'm not sure, so I don't believe we have anyone from the city of Hartford on the call. So we're just going to go straight into the description of the process. So I'd like to introduce Jordan Bloompart, who is the prize administrator for Rampant Software, and he's going to lead us through the presentation today.
Okay. We will go ahead and just start here on the main page of the website. You will be provided with login credentials in order to be able to log in as a judge. So you'll go here to the top right of the page and click Login. And for demonstration's sake, we're just going to log in as a sample judge that is set up on the system. Once you log in, you'll be brought to the dashboard page. On the dashboard, you will see a box for judging history. In this box, you will be able to view all of the submissions that you have to judge. But in order to really review everything available to you, we're going to go to the judging history page. You can do that by clicking on Go to Full Page at the bottom of the judging history box, or you can go to the dashboard menu at the top of the page and select Judging History. On the Judging History page, you're provided with several different types of information. First of all, in your submission column, you're provided with all of the links to click to review and score your submission. You're also told who is responsible for submitting that submission, when judging started, the score of the submission once you've finished or started scoring it, and whether or not you have finished scoring the submission, and finally the closed date, or when you have finished and closed your scoring for that submission. We'll go ahead and walk through the process of scoring a submission. So we'll click on Review. Let's start with this second submission. Once you're on the judging page, you will click this submission box at the top of the page to expand the submission, and you will be able to see all of the submitted information and documents for that submission. To review the documents or the proposal documents, you can click on the document next to Executive Summary or Executive or Economic Development Proposal. Once you click on those, they will automatically download, and you can open them as a PDF and read them and review them on your computer, or print them out and review them on paper. Once you've done that, you can click the submission box again at the very top and it will collapse. And then once you've reviewed all of the documents, you can begin scoring. On the scoring page, you have 3 different judging criterions that you will follow to judge the submission. And you will do one at a time, save them, and move on to the next one. Here on this page, we have judging criteria number 1. First, read the instructions in the black box at the top of the section in order to see how to judge that criterion. And then once you know what you're judging for, you can click the bubble on the bar here and drag to select whatever score you're wanting to provide for that particular criterion. One thing that will help is that you do have little short descriptions here above each score section that will kind of give you a guideline on what score to give them based on what's provided in their submission. When you're done scoring, you will be required to provide a minimum of 50 characters in a comment, which is really a rather short comment that's required, but you are allowed to put as long of a comment as you would like to. We're going to put in, my apologies, 1 second. When you're done with your comment, you'll want to click Save. Notice when I click Save, my status will go from incomplete, and then we'll include the score that I've provided above. You are not required to complete all judging criterions all at once. If you need to leave or need to come back to judge or finish judging later, once you've saved a section, you're welcome to click on Judging Overview next to the Save button, and you will be taken back to that judging history page. Go back into review. Notice that since I had already saved judging criterion 1, when I returned, it automatically brought me to judging criterion number 2. I normally would have had to click next to get there. But once again, you'll review the information in the black box, the instructions. You will provide the score for that submission or for that criterion. You'll provide a comment and click Save. We're going to go ahead and click Next just to show you that if you do not click Save, it will ask and prompt you to, asking if you would like to save before proceeding. So we'll click OK. And we'll just do this one last section really quick. Save. Once again, once you're done scoring, in order to get back to the judging history page, just click Judging Overview. There are a few things to notice now that we're done judging that submission when we're back on the judging history page. On this page, you'll notice that a few things have updated. First of all, in the score column, you now have the full score that you provided for that submission. It now says that you have finished that rubric, so you've finished all 3 judging criterion, and it gives you a Close Now button. The Close Now button in the Close Date column will close your judging for good. It will, once you click the Close Now, you can't go back and make any changes. So if you would like to, or if that's how you'd like to proceed, you can go ahead and close now, and you just won't be able to change anything. Or you can actually continue judging and judge all of your submissions before closing them, just in case you have any tweaks or any changes to make on your scoring. If you would like to really quickly review a score that you provided, you can go ahead and just click on the score, and it will pull up a box that will display all of the judging criterions all in a row, so you can quickly review your scoring and your comments. Finally, if there's anything else or any other questions you may have or any review of this process that you need, there will be a help video available right here on this page. All you have to do is click the help link at the top right of the page, and there will be a help video as well as the text content from that video if you click on the Show Closed Caption button at the top of the box. I believe that concludes the process for judging, and I guess we will turn this over to Lynn or the city if there are any questions from any of you or any further comments.
Hi, this is Lynn again. I've just gone ahead and unmuted everyone. So if you have any questions about this process, please feel free to go ahead and ask them.
I might. This is Carlos Hernandez Chavez.
Hi, Carlos. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Question is, in terms of scoring, there's a tendency to compare proposals in situations like this. I think it's going to be a challenge for all. I think in terms of once we go through, let's say, the first application, the first proposal, and then we score, and then we end up at the very middle or the last one, and then all of a sudden we're rethinking our scores. How does that play with the overall scoring here?
Well, you can go ahead, as long as you have not closed out the scoring of any particular submission that's assigned to you, you can go back and change those. So that's totally up to you. You know, I think Jordan demonstrated that functionality. But Jordan, you just want to talk about that close now functionality again?
Well, I'm sorry, I did understand that. No, my question was.
Oh,
really,
okay.
Yeah, my question was more about comparing proposals with each other.
That's totally fine. It's you may take on that. You know, everyone has a little bit different methodology of how they score proposals. You know, in terms of their approach, and that is certainly fine for you to do that.
Okay.
I think the main idea with all of it is that if you are just starting scoring and you haven't done something like this before, and you realize halfway through, you know, I was really being too hard or too lenient because I'm seeing that there are a bunch of other submissions that I'm scoring better, or, you know, so if there's a different way you want to score or be able to go and change that, you can do that.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that we can do that, because I've gone through this kinds of process for many years, and it's always the same question. So
Sure.
thank you for addressing
Yep.
it.
Yeah, and you know, the key thing is just don't press that close now button, because once you do that, your scores are set.
Yes, understand.
How many different sets of questions or areas per entry are there?
There are three main judging criterions, but on the
how many?
Yep. Are you speaking on
you
the
had one?
itself?
You went through two of them. Is there more than two?
Yes. I was on one, and I saved and returned to the judging history page. And then since I had already saved it, when I returned to the submission, it automatically brought me to number 2.
Yeah, how many
Number
how many
2 and number
questions
3.
are there?
There are
Three.
three
There's
main
three.
judging sections.
Oh, three. Okay, three judging
Correct.
sections. Okay, and I also saw in the beginning there, you could look at the video, if they submitted a video.
Correct. There is a video option. That is an optional thing for them, but if they submit it, it is there for you to view as well.
Now, if they just didn't, if they submitted, so they're not required to submit a video, but they definitely have to have a written description, correct?
Correct. They need to have the executive summary and the economic development proposal.
All right. How would you suggest weighing? Let's say the video is much more, makes much better case than the written. Which one do you use as the base for judging? Is it the written or the video?
The basis.
So you want to take the entire submission, the submission in its entirety. So you want to look at both the written document and the video, and then you want to use those three judging criteria to score
and
it.
This gets into some of the ones you're judging where they didn't submit a video. So how do you create a standard where video has tremendous more impact, but it's not it's all optional? That's my point. Is the to be fair, comparing against each other based on the previous question that was talked about here, if you're going to compare apples to apples, how do you compare someone who has a compelling video versus someone who might have a very, has a written thing on there? In terms of weighing this, it's probably what I'm thinking about.
So there's not really any weighing, but it's really up to you. So if you feel like that video really is compelling and really adds a depth and breadth to their application, then definitely you should score them higher. That it was completely optional, so the teams could decide whether or not to include a video. I mean, certainly if I had been someone who was applying to a competition like this, I absolutely would have included a video, because I definitely would have felt like that would have improved my application.
But it's comparing proposals. It's, again, weighing it against the others. And if someone didn't submit a video, when you want to level it out, would it be fair then to go back and look at the written submissions as a fair way of weighing it?
That's, it's totally up to you. It's absolutely up to you. We leave that in your hands.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that this competition being of the entrepreneurial nature that it is, I think that whoever has an edge on their entrepreneurial skills, I think takes the cake, so to speak. I mean, that's my take. It might be unfortunate for somebody else, but I think this is what competitions like this are to be. I would say that if the video, as you said, that the Lynn is if the video really puts the point across in a much stronger way, obviously that's going to be a much stronger application. So. I mean, that's my opinion anyways, but that's how I would view it.
May I jump in here? My name is Colleen McGuire. I guess what my takeaway is from this conversation here is that we should be using the rubric, of course, to evaluate these, but not only the rubric, we need to evaluate them on a relative basis. Would that be correct?
Again, we leave that up to you. So if you are someone who would, everyone has a different approach, and we can't really recommend or suggest to you how you go about that process of scoring. Some judges prefer to go one by one, and they'll say, well, my first impression is I feel most confident about my first impression, and that's how I'm going to score it. I'm going to score it, and then I'm going to close it, and they don't do any weighting. It's really how you prefer to do it. But it's certainly fine also to go through all of them and then say, oh, I read 10 of these, and I really think the fourth one that I read is the best one, so I'm going to go back and reorder my scores based on that. It's absolutely fine to do that as well.
So can I just have one quick follow-on from
Sure,
that?
of course, yeah. As many as you'd like.
The rubric, therefore, see, this is a slight difference than my understanding from a meeting we had a few months ago here in Hartford. So the rubric is not all that deeply developed, if you will. It's kind of a benchmark, correct? We didn't spend any time looking at the rubrics.
Well, I feel like the rubric is pretty deep. Have you had a chance to look at it?
No.
Maybe Jordan, could you pull it up? Maybe that's
Sure.
a good thing to do.
Yeah, I can pull it up here again.
Yeah. So this what I'm seeing right now is the rubric, right?
Yeah, but this is one of the criteria. And Jordan, if you want to scroll down and show the other two criteria.
Yeah, there's three different criterion. So there's that, and that.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think that my understanding was, it's like giving somebody curving an exam. I mean, if you're grading just against the rubric, then you could essentially have all proposals coming up with, a mean of, 2.5 with the top score of 3.1. If you're comparing them on a relative basis, then all the scores may move up because you may decide that somebody's got to get between a 4 and a 5. So my takeaway is that there is some latitude about how we do this on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely right, and part of the reason that we're able to allow you that latitude is that each of the submissions is looked at by 5 different judges,
right.
And then we statistically normalize the scores. So so if I'm someone who gets I'm a judge who scores, I'm really tough. I give everybody, 1s or 2s, and you're a judge that's maybe perhaps easier, and you give everyone, 3s and 4s. That statistical normalization process will level that out.
Right. Thank
one
you.
question here. Another one. How do you weigh up the comments versus the numbers? Do you go to the numbers basically as the final determination, or the comments that we provide?
It's only the numbers. The comments are really for the applicants themselves.
Oh, so the comments are only for the applicants.
That's correct.
Because I'm looking at you have up there criteria number 1. There's multiple questions in that. So when you're reading, when you're reading the proposal on there, and they have to answer one of those things, it seems like what you're writing down would be more thoughtful than a number, because one area might be stronger than another. Again, I've done a lot of this too, and what's unusual here is you have multiple questions to be answered by the applicant, and yet the scoring gets really simple, so therefore the description, what we write down, gets very important.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And
so therefore, if the thing we're submitting, the comments are only for the applicant, but the comments in my book would be just as important as the weighing of the number, you're using just mathematics without taking into account this the nuance that we might respond back in the comment box.
Well, and the reason for that is that we're trying to have as an objective process as possible.
Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, and I've never seen anything so rigid in terms of scoring where you're asking for comments that are not used in the judging. And I've done dozens of judging. I'm just pointing out something. So the comments we're doing should actually ignore going to you. It's more directed to the participant.
Yes, and that's actually we believe one of the advantages that this process has for actually the submissions, because in our work, we've actually gone out and surveyed participants, and often they're interested in winning money, and that's usually possibly one of the reasons that they are signing up to begin with or registering to begin with. But what we've learned is those comments from you are all experts, highly credible people in your field, in the community. Your comments are invaluable to these submissions, to these applicants. And so
but they're not valuable. They're not valuable for the judging, though.
That is right. That's right. The judging is strictly off the numbers.
So therefore, the weighing between these gets really critical. But do they get the numbers back? Each applicants?
That's up to the city of Hartford to determine. We certainly make that available, and then the city can decide whether to share that with their the applicants or not.
Okay. This is Carlos. Can I offer some suggestion here? I see the quandary that is being proposed or posed rather. What about as one judges, we write our comments until we go through all the questions of that particular criterion, and then see if we can get a better handle on what score those comments will reflect, in order to balance them out. So I think that the caller, I don't know the name, it has a valid point, but I think that the comments would support in a much fairer way the final score of that particular criterion before actually finalizing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that is one of the benefits of being able to go back and edit your scoring. So like you suggested, yes, you could go ahead and leave all of your comments and then go back and review your comments and say, okay, based on these comments, what really is the best score for this criterion. So yes, that would certainly work.
This is Dave Lee asking this question. We're going to give scores ultimately to the five people are going to score the same proposals. At the end, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's not the same 5 people don't get the same 5 submissions. It's randomized. Okay, but I guess my question is, at the end of this, you're going to have all of these submissions, and they will all have a score, a composite score, and then is that the basis on which you pick how many winners?
So there are, in the first phase of this competition, there are 3 cash awards that are awarded. So the top 3 get awarded cash prizes. Between 6 to 8 to 10 move on to the second phase and are eligible for a second round of cash awards.
Okay.
anyone else have any other questions? And this isn't your last opportunity to ask questions. If you think of something, either right when you get off this call or later on in the process. Steve Cole is really at the City of Hartford is really your primary point of contact. Hopefully you have his email address. It's here. I can type it in the chat box.
At the bottom of the page.
I'm sorry.
It's at the bottom of this page that we're seeing.
Yes, great, thank you. That's exactly right. There's his, maybe Jordan, you can highlight Stephen's email address.
Yeah,
there's the bottom.
I do have one question for you. So when Steve sent us an email, or I had emailed him actually a couple of weeks ago in regards to the judges. I was curious to see who was judging, and it appears that there's 2 rounds of judging here.
That's correct.
A whole different. That's right. So there's a whole different set of judges in place for a second round. So do you know how many of these proposals will get to that second round of judges?
So it will be somewhere probably between 6 to 8 to 10. That's a decision that the City of Hartford will be making.
And they'll narrow, and that round of judges will narrow to 3?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
So will they select 3? Will they select a final? Will they select 3 winners out of?
I see. There will be 6 winners in the second phase.
Okay.
So 3 winners in the first phase. A number, somewhere between 6 to 8 to 10 will move to the second phase. The first phase is judged by the evaluation panel, and the second phase is judged by the selection committee. The selection committee will choose 6 winners. Again, the same process. They'll be scoring them, and the top 6 will be the cash award winners.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
It does.
Great. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Okay, and then just lastly, once this process starts, which will be next week, I can't remember the number of weeks you have. It's, I think, between 5 and 6, and Stephen will be following up with you about the exact deadline on that. Our team is actually available for technical support. So, again, first thing is to contact Stephen, but he may be referring you to Jordan to help solve any questions that you might have. So just know that you're not alone during this process, and we'll be there to support you the whole way.
Well, what will be the next thing that happens? Do we get some notification that everything's up and we should now go to the website?
That's exactly right. So today is October 2nd. Stephen returns to the office tomorrow. He has to finish up the administrative review, which is currently happening. That will be, I think, wrapped up on the 7th, so next Tuesday. And then you guys should receive your distributions on. So the next thing that will happen will be that you'll get an email from Stephen with your username and password, and it'll be saying, okay, it's time to judge your submissions. You'll log in and see the ones that are assigned just to you.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
So this is strictly online.
What's that?
This is strictly online. There's no paper, anything.
That's correct. Just
Okay.
online. You can certainly print them out. You can print the submissions out if you'd like. We have that functionality, but all of the scoring occurs online.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We're thrilled that you have all agreed to participate in this process, and we look forward to getting this kicked off next week.
All right. Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.